we'll start off with the fact that at 13, I saw my brother taken away at 14 years old and serving 15 years in prison. So I was 13. I was like, when I grow up, I'm a, because I already knew at that point statistics as far as like just looking around in my community that when black men get out of prison, that they don't have as many opportunities, especially in Texas, because it's a huge Hispanic population. And so to divide and conquer, what the powers that be did is give all the Hispanic people all of the job opportunities. So it created
Oh,
a division
right.
within the community, like, so those cultures wouldn't come together, and of course the Hispanic culture would feel superior over the African American culture. And so knowing that, I was like, when I grow up, I'm gonna do something big. So when my big brother get out, I'm already have things laid out, right? So that was the
Right.
start. I worked at a nonprofit child care facility, my first job, pretty much, and I understood how the nonprofit world worked. I had an amazing mentor, Muriel Webb, in Dallas, Texas, in South Dallas, Texas. She just showed me how to speak the language of the money. Like, she was, I mean, before computer labs were a thing in the hood, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
she took grants and like made a skating rink in the hood and a computer lab, which is a big, big thing
Hell yeah.
in our area at the time. So I learned that language from her. And then when I moved to Virginia by marriage, um, I saw some of the same things when I got into the financial industry, which, got into the financial industry through volunteer work, working for the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. And so that piece of the puzzle was placed, right? That financial piece. And I'm like, oh man, like, is this what the world is about? Right. Then I
Right.
started working for a financial institution, which I will remain nameless because I don't want no drama. Even though I got love for them, people be hating on them. They allowed me. They were so the manager that I had was so amazing. The culture of that company, regardless of what people say about them, they made sure that we did community work. So they would pay us like 16 hours, 8 to 16 hours to go into the community. And I'm like, oh, I know what I want to do. So I went to juvenile detention centers. And when I went
Facts.
into the juvenile detention centers, it was triggering
Mm-hmm.
for me because obviously I'm like, this is where my brother was. I didn't even know what it looked like, right, inside of a place like that. So I connected with the juvenile detention centers because it was like a soft place in my heart because of my sibling, right?
Right.
And then when the guy at the juvenile detention center was like, oh, 85% of them come from one neighborhood. I was like, huh?
One
You say
neighborhood.
what?
Right.
How is that possible? Right. So I was like, bet. So I had an opportunity to do a missions trip. Got a lot of people that do charity. They go overseas. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a missions trip right down the street from your
Right.
house.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
that's facts.
relocated. I sold things. I got rid of things, and I relocated temporarily into that neighborhood where majority of those young people were, and I built a relationship with them. And then the biggest triggering thing was probably after about 3 or 4 weeks, I found that they started really disappearing, right? And I'm gonna backtrack for a second. At the end of the day, when I started doing programming in the neighborhood, I knew that I didn't want to just go in and do a back to school drive or go in and do a cookout and then
Backpacks or
leave, right?
turkeys. Right.
Backpacks,
Yeah.
turkeys, doing
Right.
Thanksgiving, bikes, Christmas. I know I didn't want to do that because when I lived in public housing, I used to hate that. I'm like, where's the real help? Like, I
Mm.
mean, not that it wasn't real help, but they would just like drop stuff off and bounce. And so when I relocated into that neighborhood, it was my goal to build relationships with the families, build relationships with the kids. I mean, I'm taking trash out, I'm breaking up fights. Cops over there
Right.
sitting in the corner just watching them fight. Parents just letting them watch because that's the culture, right?
Right.
And I'm breaking up fights and everything, you know what I'm saying? Because like I'm building relationships. So the biggest triggering thing for me, which I would say would be the catalyst for Young Investors Group, was when they started disappearing. Like, oh,
Mm.
what happened to so and so? Oh, he on house arrest. Oh, what happened to so and so? Oh, he got a charge. Oh, what happened to so and so? Oh, he locked up. Which I already knew that was happening, but it was hard to believe real time when you started connecting with the kids, right?
Right. Yeah.
So you know, working with your boy Arthur, you know what I'm saying? In the early 2015s when we did the computer, I was inspired by novel views. Turn up. Um, and just fast forwarding to the moment when they started disappearing, we started just going into court with them. Now, mind you, at
So
this point, they had sold a house like we did because my
Mhm.
background is in finance, mortgage underwriting, loan officer, all of that. I had them young men selling houses. You heard me?
let's
Like
go.
they went and they showed the customers the house. They learned the layout of the house. They did a 2 week training on how houses are assets, and these are young people that are in public housing. And I know for me, I never understood mortgages. I never understood that I could own a house.
See,
But these young people now who've been in generations, their family have been in public housing for generations, are now getting exposed to real estate.
now that's
Okay.
huge. You're doing amazing work
Mhm.
out there. You're going out there. Like it's crazy how you mentioned, like, instead of just showing up and bouncing, you moved in the community and you're a
Yep.
staple and you're like making change from within. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? And that's, I gotta commend you for that, because that's fucking huge. Not a lot of people have a heart for that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
So what do you say to the people? So what do you say to people who's like, man, you should probably get right and get up out of here, right? This ain't no place to grow. This ain't no place that's conducive to growth, right? Or love or compassion or all those good things that the world needs, right? So
You
what do you
mean
say
like
to them?
in that situation? Because I was temporarily there. I didn't stay there for a long
Right.
period of time. But in my perspective, it is because it's controlled by other people. You never want the rug snatched from under you.
mhm,
So I think that it's important that when people are living in those situations, that they look at it as temporary, right? It's no
Mhm.
different than going to college for 4 years. It's just when you move into projects for you, that's a different type of 4 years. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So
Right.
I don't think that anybody should be in those type of situations past 4 years, to be honest with you. I think 4 years, if you are on the right track, maybe 6 years, that you should live in that place for 46 years and have a strategic plan. So those are my thoughts, because they only create, for some neighborhoods, they only create those environments because they get federal funding for poverty and high crime. If a city has
Mhm.
no poverty and high
facts.
crime, there's certain level of grant money, state money, federal
Mhm,
money that they don't get, as well as they don't get the depreciation of the land
mhm.
that's needed for
No,
capitalists.
that's huge. So back to what King was saying. So, because I'm from the projects, I lived there damn near. Now I'm not gonna say half my life because I'm
Yeah.
old as fuck right now.
I
uh,
know it, right?
First 15 years or so of my life, I'm from the dirt, and I know what it feels like to be there. But I guess for me, it was a certain time where it was all I knew, so I didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I didn't know New York was it for me. I didn't travel anywhere. I haven't seen anything else. You could have asked me, and I would have told you the whole planet is like the way that I'm living. So,
Okay.
how do you inspire somebody or to have a different perspective of a lifestyle? They could change their environment just by doing X, Y, and Z, and then show them that there's a better way to live. Not in poverty,
Yeah.
not in constant negativity,
Mhm.
and all that stuff. Like, how do you get in there and inspire people to want that? If
So
that
the
makes
first
sense.
step, yeah, and I think I understand your question to be, how do you see someone in that position and then help them transform into wanting better for themselves?
Right.
Okay. So
It is now 2023, going on 2024. Why don't you have a VPN?